In the 1980s, rally cars got so fast that drivers didn't crash because they made mistakes. They crashed because the car did exactly what they told it to do. These things had no power limits, no real safety systems, and sometimes over 600 horsepower on narrow mountain roads, with crowds standing inches away. In 1986, after spectators were killed and a world champion burned inside his car, the FIA panicked. They didn't ban a team, they didn't ban a driver. They banned the entire category. And here's the part most people get wrong. The cars that ended Group B weren't even the fastest ones being built yet. Today, I'm walking you through every Group B car that died because of that ban, starting with the ones that barely worked, building up to the killers, and ending with the monsters that never even got the chance. Act 1. This seems manageable. Right, so Group B kicked off in 1982, and at first it didn't look that scary. The rules were simple. Build 200 road cars, homologate them, then go mental with the rally version. No power limits, no aero limits. Just make it fast and make it handle. Early on, you had cars like the Nissan 240 RS, a rear-wheel drive, naturally aspirated inline-4 making about 240 horsepower. Decent car, looked cool, but it was already getting left behind by the turbocharged all-wheel drive monsters coming through. Then, there was the Škoda 130 LR. Rear-engined, rear-wheel drive, 1.3-litre engine making 130 horsepower, weighed 720 kilos, sounded like an angry lawnmower. The Czechs were out there giving it everything, but mate, this thing was fighting Audis with 5 times the power. Brave but doomed. And then, then we get to the Citroën BX 4TC. This was Citroën's attempt at a Group B car, and it was a disaster. A turbocharged 4-wheel drive hatchback with high-drop pneumatic suspension. Sounds clever, right? Wrong. It was slow, it was heavy, it was unreliable. And Citroën only managed to sell 86 of the 200 road cars they needed for homologation. The FIA said, "Not good enough, mate." Citroën pulled the plug and literally crushed most of the unsold cars. That's how bad it was. So, right from the start, you can see Group B wasn't working. Some manufacturers couldn't even meet the rules. Others were getting destroyed by the competition. And the gap between the fast cars and the slow cars, massive. But it was about to get a whole lot worse. Before we go any further, if you're into this kind of deep dive stuff, you'll probably want to stick around on the channel. I break down motorsport moments where the rules stopped making sense, and the consequences got serious. Alright, back to Group B. Axt 2. Now it's getting silly. By 1985, Group B had gone from fast rally cars to barely legal race missiles. Let's talk about the MG Metro 6 R4. This thing was Britain's answer to the turbocharged Germans and French. But instead of going turbo, Austin Rover said, nah, we'll just stick a screaming 3.0-litre V6 in the middle and rev it to 9,000 RPM. And it worked, sort of. The 6R4 made 410 horsepower from a naturally aspirated engine, which is mental. It sounded like a Formula 1 car having a breakdown. But here's the problem. While it was revving its head off through the forests, the turbo cars were making 500, 600, 700 horsepower and just walking away from it. Still, the 6R4 was a proper weapon. Short wheelbase, 4-wheel drive, violent throttle response. Drivers loved it because it was raw and honest, but it couldn't keep up with what was coming next. Then we've got the Porsche 959. Now technically, the 959 never actually raced in Group B rallies. It was a homologation prototype, a concept car Porsche built to show off their tech. Twin turbocharged flat 6, 450 horsepower, all-wheel drive with an adjustable torque split, and ride height you could change on the fly. It was supposed to dominate Paris-Dakar and the WRC, but by the time Porsche had it ready, Group B was banned. So the 959 became a road car instead. 337 were built, and it became one of the greatest supercars of the 1980s. But imagine if it had raced. Imagine that thing sideways through a Finnish forest at full stage speed. We were robbed. And then there's the Audi Quattro S1E2. This is where things got properly out of hand. The S1E2 was Audi's final evolution of the Quattro. Shorter wheelbase than the original, wider arches, a 2.1-litre turbocharged inline-5, making 550 horsepower in rally trim. Though some say it was closer to 600, and it was violent. Drivers said the S1E2 didn't just accelerate, it attacked. The turbo lag was so bad that when it kicked in, the car would physically lurch forward like it had been rear-ended. You'd be mid-corner, waiting for boost, and then bang, the rear end would step out and you'd be fighting for your life. Walter Röhrl, one of the greatest rally drivers ever, drove the S1E2 and said it was like trying to tame a wild animal. This was the car that won Pikes Peak in 1987, with 600 horsepower and no safety barriers. That's the level of madness we're talking about. But even the S1E2 wasn't the fastest, not even close. Act 3. This is where it breaks. By 1986, Group B had become a death trap. The Ford RS200 was supposed to be Ford's big play. Mid-engined, four-wheel drive, turbocharged, and built by some of the best engineers in the business. It looked like a spaceship. It handled like a go-kart, and in the right hands it was rapid. But on March 5th, 1986, during the Rally of Portugal, everything went wrong. Driver Joaquim Santos was flying at full speed through a stage when a spectator stepped onto the road. Santos swerved, lost control, and plowed straight into the crowd. 3 people died. 2 of them were children. Over 30 were injured. The rally was stopped. Ford pulled out. Drivers were furious, and the entire motorsport world looked at Group B and said, this has to stop. But it didn't. Not yet. 2 months later, the Peugeot 205 T16 Evo 2 was dominating the championship. This car was the peak of Group B engineering. Mid-engined, turbocharged, four-wheel drive, 500 horsepower, and it weighed about as much as a shopping trolley. The Evo 2 had massive box arches, a giant rear wing, and it looked like it had been designed by someone who'd never heard the word subtle. And it was fast. Stupidly fast. Peugeot won the Manufacturers' Championship in 1985 and 1986. Timo Salonen won the Drivers' title in 1985. The 205 T16 was the most successful Group B car ever made. But success didn't make it safe. It made it faster. And faster meant more dangerous. Then came May 2nd, 1986. The Tour de Corse, the rally that killed Group B. Act 4, the car that ended Group B. The Lancia Delta S4 was the most advanced rally car ever built. It had a 1.8-litre inline-4 engine with both a supercharger and a turbocharger, twin-charged. That meant instant throttle response from the supercharger at low revs, and then the turbo would kick in at high revs and the car would just explode forward. It made 550 horsepower. Some say it made more. It weighed 1,200 kilos. It had four-wheel drive, a composite body, and it was so fast that drivers said it felt like the car was trying to kill you. Henri Toivonen was one of the fastest drivers in the world. He was leading the 1986 championship. He was 29 years old, and on May 2nd, during the Tour de Corse, his Delta S4 went off the road on a downhill left-hander, tumbled down a ravine, and burst into flames. Toivonen and his co-driver, Sergio Cresto, were killed instantly. The fire was so intense that investigators couldn't determine what caused the crash. The car was destroyed, the stage was cancelled, and 18 days later, on May 20th, 1986, the FIA banned Group B. After this crash, Group B was already dead. Everyone just hadn't admitted it yet. The monsters that never raced. When Group B was banned, most people think the madness stopped. It didn't, because sitting in factory garages around the world were cars that were faster, lighter, and more extreme than anything that had ever touched a rally stage, and they were all killed on paper. Ferrari's Group B car was the 288 GTO Evoluzione, the icon that never fought. This was Ferrari's rally weapon, a twin-turbo V8 making around 650 horsepower, in a car that weighed under 1,000 kilos. It had massive wings, huge vents, and looked more like a Le Mans prototype than a road car. Only 6 were ever built, and none of them ever raced. When Group B was banned, Ferrari quietly killed the project and turned what was left into the blueprint for the F40, one of the greatest rally cars ever made, became a road-going legend instead. Toyota's car was even more unsettling, the secret weapon. The 222D was a mid-engined four-wheel drive monster based on the MR2. Depending on who you ask, it made 700 to 750 horsepower and weighed roughly the same as a small city car. Toyota never showed it, never raced it, never even homologated it. Group B was banned before anyone outside the factory truly knew it existed. For decades, it sat hidden away because even Toyota knew that if it ever reached a rally stage, it would have been unstoppable or uncontrollable. And then there was the future. Lancia's ECV and ECV2 weren't evolutions of the Delta S4, they were replacements. Full carbon fiber and Kevlar chassis, twin turbo engines, over 600 horsepower in rally trim, and potentially 800 in qualifying. Audi was doing the same thing. The RS002 moved the engine to the middle, fixed the balance problems of the Quattro, and pushed power toward 700 horsepower. These weren't wild ideas, they were tested, they worked, and they were faster than anything Group B had ever seen. But they never raced, because Group B didn't end when a rule book changed. It ended when everyone finally realized what these cars were going to do next. These cars weren't banned because they crashed. They were banned because everyone knew Eventually they would. So, when people say Group B was banned because it was dangerous, that's only half the story. Group B was banned because it proved something motorsport still hasn't solved. If you give engineers total freedom, speed will always outrun safety. Group B only lasted 5 years, but in that time it produced some of the most extreme, most beautiful, and most terrifying racing cars ever built. And we'll never see anything like it again. There's one of these cars I still think would have ended Group B, even if the ban never happened.